So yeah, I'm outraged. I'm upset because we keep trusting what they're telling us. They keep trusting what they're saying, and it's like there's a problem here. It is passenger in the seat time. Welcome. This is our series where we are carpooling and we are talking about life and all the things. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe and like, and welcome to our channel. So Jimmy sent me this video the other day regarding RFK Jr.'s speech on autism and the research that he's doing. And initially when he sent it to me, I was like, I don't want to watch this. And just to give you some context, our son, our 6-year-old son, is diagnosed with autism. He was diagnosed at 3 with a level 1 autism. He is nonverbal. He has stimming. He has, I believe, what they call PDA is pathological demand avoidance. So he has a few things that,
He's verbal, just limited.
well, so he's been doing speech therapy for about 2 years now. He's been doing services for about 3 years. He started speech therapy around 2, but it was very challenging because of where he was at. He hadn't gotten his diagnosis for autism yet, so we decided to give him services first, then put him back into speech therapy. So he's speaking a little bit more, like he's able to tell us like what he wants. So for example, if he's hungry, he'll say hungry. If he wants milk or cookie or chocolate, he'll say the words. He doesn't do like full sentences, at least for that. He is kind of potty trained, but not fully. So we try to do no diapers at night, and it just kept having accidents. So he's still wearing diapers at night, and he does have accidents throughout the day. He can't necessarily wipe himself yet, but it's stuff that we're working on with him. That being said, so Logan has autism. That's our 6-year-old son. Now, this information that came out with RFK Jr., I had seen some clips online, and when Jimmy sent it to me, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch it, but then I kind of asked him for the cliff notes, and I was like, okay, great, But then I kept seeing mixed reviews online by people that I have followed for years, that have children with autism, that are speech therapists, that are like really upset by what he said. And so I was kind of getting upset because they were taking clips of what he said and kind of twisting his words, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And if you listen to the whole thing, he gives a lot of information. So finally, Jimmy and I had kind of got into somewhat of a heated discussion last night, and I watched the full video yesterday, or this morning, after actually at the gym, and I was crying. I was just like very emotional because based on what RFK Jr. is saying is that it's environmental toxin that is causing the term that he used is epidemic with autism. And based on the research, like 20 years ago, or like 30 years ago, 1989, like it was like 1 in 10,000. Now it's like 1 in 30, 1 in 31. And that was from a study that they did 2 years ago. So we don't know where it's at now. He's going to do research. But he's going to look at everything. He's going to look at supplements. He's going to look at health. They think it's a combination of genetics with an environmental toxin. So people who have maybe certain genetics, with a certain toxin will cause autism. That's what they're thinking. They're going to do the research. They're going to let us know. And as a parent of autism, it's emotional because if it is some type of medical thing, like if it is a vaccine or if it is a vitamin or if it is ultrasounds or if it is something that is potentially causing this, it's heartbreaking because these are things that we've trusted, and it's just it has you be really skeptical, and it has me concerned for our family members who are going to try to have kids, our family members who have a future and they want kids, and our children who want kids, and it's like one of those things that like I want answers, so if this is preventable, that would be amazing because yeah, like I'm curious what it is, and what did I do different from my daughter Quinn to Logan? Like what did I do different, because Quinn doesn't have autism, so it's like trying to understand stuff like that. And so It is really emotional, and I think he's trying to make a difference, and I do feel like the people who are out there trying to do stuff for autism, they're trying to support it when it's already diagnosed. And if there's a way that we can prevent it, I'm all for that, because we live with this. This is very much a part of our lives. Obviously, we hope Logan will have we push really hard to give him the tools so that when he gets older, he can provide for himself, he can do all this stuff. But we've also have it in our mind that there may be a point where he can't. We don't know. And that's where it's like we're kind of hanging on this cliff note of like we don't know what the future is going to look like. We just know day to day and what it's currently doing and how much has it affected us. When we first got the diagnosis, like I was doing research, I signed up for programs, I was doing trainings, I was learning how to talk to him, learning how to sit with him and teach him. I went above and beyond. I paid for this really expensive program to get educated by a BCBA. She was like teaching like parents how to support their kids at home, and it was just so challenging. And then I got pregnant with my daughter and I went through like this really big depressive state because it was just like it was so hard. It was hard to process mentally and emotionally. And when RFK Jr. says it affects families and it destroys families and it destroys the lives, I mean, it's a bold thing to say that, and it is really hurts when he says that. But if you know the rate of how many people who get divorced because of like it's what is it like either 70 or 80% of marriages get divorced with children with special needs because the toll that it takes on the family. And that's not the kid's fault. And it's just one of those things that it's so challenging to communicate. It's so challenging to bear the load of we don't know what he's going to be like each day. Like today he was upset. Like today he fought and today he was upset and he preferred dad over mom. And it's one of those things that like it really takes a team effort to do this but it is very challenging, but I would like answers. I would like to know. And if they do find out what it is, maybe something that can help reverse it or support it or detox it. Like maybe I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, and maybe that's where I'm like I was struggling because I was like I kind of don't want to be hopeful because then I don't want to expect something. But it's like balance. So just listening to it, I was getting really emotional because he said that an environmental toxin, basically, and it could be a combination of things, but there's no way that that you can miss that many diagnoses over the years and that you're better at diagnosing it. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, so I think one of the things a couple of things when he mentioned and he put to rest that, I guess, myth that we're seeing higher rises of autism because we're just better at diagnosing it. And maybe there's some truth to it, but he made it pretty clear that going from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 30 now is a big jump. So if the main cause of that, main driving factor is better identification, then that means like the people running the experiment then were missing whatever the math he said,
He
like
said
90,
80, 98.
like 98% of the cases.
Yeah.
Like that's just mindless. That's just literally calling the people that did the study then ignorant or stupid. Like there couldn't have been that big of a change, and you missed 98%. And he even said like 10 years later or a few years later they revisited the study to see if they missed anything or missed anyone, and they found one person they had missed. And that doesn't account for going from 1 to 10,000 to 1 to 30, which is a huge jump. So that just blew my mind, and just kind of put that to rest because I repeated that. I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I wanted that to be true, kind of, I guess. But then he mentioned another thing. He's like, DNA markers or genetic markers are easier to find, but they typically cause vulnerability in people, not necessarily epidemics, like he mentioned. And those vulnerabilities in junction with environmental toxins or factors could cause some kind of issue. in a person. So it's usually a combination of the two.
Yeah, and he did say, like, for example, people used to smoke, and 1 in 5
1 in 4
no, 1 in
Five?
5 would die, and
lung cancer.
yeah, from lung cancer, and so it was one of those things that it's the genetic markers that there's something in them that would cause that, but other people smoked and they were fine, right? So
So it's like, yeah, like that's kind of information you want to know. Like the smoking example he used, it's like, okay, well, of course we'd want to know that in some people, smoking causes cancer. And so then you can choose if you want to smoke. And for kids with autism, if it's something similar, it's even more impactful because they didn't choose anything.
yeah, so
It's
it's
the
like
parents that
it could
chose.
if it's an ultrasound because they're saying what they're looking at, and he says he doesn't know if it's ultrasound, he doesn't think that's what it
Just an
is.
example of what they're looking into
Because it started
in 89.
in '89, and that's also when ultrasound started,
Yeah,
and
they,
so
they said they looked into finding a year where they can say like the epidemic started for autism, and they identified 1989. So they're using that as a starting point. Like what else happened that was like global during that time that could affect children, and that was ultrasounds as an example
yeah.
of what they would be looking into.
And, the thing is, like, what he said, I can see how there are families who are upset, because they see autism has been, like, this blessing for their family. I can see how what he said could come off,
Insensitive.
insensitive. The thing is, though, I'm glad that that's their experience. I'm glad that they feel that way. For us, it has been challenging. We moved out of state to offer better resources to our son. We uprooted our family, and I don't regret that by any means. Like, we needed to do what was best for him and what was for us too. It was a family decision, but mainly because we weren't getting what we needed where we were at. And that's another thing is like resources, you get better resources depending on where you live. There's so much politics to it with the resources. There's so much stuff, and they're throwing in people who are not even certified to support our children. Our son was going to what was recommended through our healthcare to a preschool program for autistic children, and the teacher wasn't even a certified special ed teacher. She was a substitute teacher, so she didn't have the credentials to support him.
Yeah, there's just so many cases.
Are you kidding? And she was fired because she was verbally and aggressively abusive to the children. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, that's the problem. So yeah, I'm outraged. I'm upset because we keep trusting what they're telling us. They keep trusting what they're saying, and it's like there's a problem here. Trust the healthcare, trust this, and it's like you guys are leading us down a path that, like, it has me being very skeptical. And so, yeah, do the research. If it's an ultrasound, if it's the medicine, is it vaccines? Like, what is it? And I'm not saying it's for everybody because there are some kids that have gotten vaccines that are fine.
That's why it's like the smoking is. There's genetic markers.
Sure.
There's some susceptibility to certain things.
And
Some people don't have
we
that.
get to have a choice.
And you
like-
need to know.
We need to know if your genetic marker is going to be affected by this, maybe don't do it. Like, it's that simple.
And
It's
if
just
it's a-
common
And
sense.
if it's an ongoing thing too. So like for example, like I love our son. He's great. But if there's something that is hurting him that we don't know about and it's still hurting him because we don't know we need to remove that, then it's like benefits him and it benefits us to want to know and understand
And
that.
I
Because
mean-
we will remove that if we know that that's something that hurts him, but it's hard to tell because it doesn't hurt most kids, for example. So if they can study that and tell us and we can do that, then great. I don't see how that's a bad thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I've tried a lot of things, and I just was telling Jimmy maybe we should try red light therapy, or maybe we should try. There's like this other thing that helps with like neurological stuff, and like I'm open to trying a more holistic route because, I. At this point, like, I love Logan. I do. It has made our lives very challenging. Like, we can't go on vacation. We have to stick to a routine. We've literally created an environment in our home so that we try to have as minimal outbreaks or of outbursts of TTs, and I hate that term TTs, but what I call it is like he's expressing himself because he's so upset. He doesn't know how to regulate himself, and I think his nervous system is in shock. Like, little things just set him off, and it affects the whole house. And we've literally it's and people don't understand that. Like, family want us to come visit them, and, like, we have to factor that in. And we've had to factor so many different things in. We don't really leave the house that much. We try, and it's just like yesterday we tried to go do an Easter egg hunt, and Logan threw himself down in the middle of the street because he was upset, and he sat there, and Jimmy had to talk to him, and I had to talk to him, and it went on for a long time. And yes, it affects Quinn, who wants to go and play, and it's like it has an effect. And so if there's something that we can do, that's going to make it just a little bit better, or somehow improve. And they keep telling us, oh, well, you do this so that he doesn't do this. And it's like, we're doing everything that they told us to do. We're following what the BCBA is telling us. Oh, well, don't let him get to that point. I'm sorry, what? How do you not let him get to that point? Spend a full day with him, and you tell me that you can't let him get to that point. Like, the kid gets
Yeah,
upset.
and at the same time, we're parents. No parent should just be a pushover and let their kid do whatever they want.
Yeah,
And it's like literally we're trying to do something fun. We're not even trying to take him to go to an hour class
it's
that
just
sits down and writes. We're going to go play.
and it's not a preferred
But
activity.
but he had it set in his mind that he wanted to swim right then and there, right before we left. And we told him you could swim later. But because he had that set in his mind, and then even though we're doing something fun, he was like a little upset. Finally got him inside after her talking to him, me talking to him. Then she had to finally take Quinn in so that she can have some fun. Finally got him in, started to have fun, but then it was time to go. And then all of a sudden he didn't want to go. He almost ran away. He
In the
ran
middle of the
off in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Because he threw a golf ball the other way and I had to go chase it.
And that's the thing, like, what people say that this is a blessing for their family, and that they're so grateful for it. And it's like, and I'm glad that is your experience by any means. I am glad that for us, it's a danger. Logan sometimes self-harms. When he is very agitated, he like slaps his face. He's never banged his head, but he slaps his face. He stims. He runs in circles. He runs into things. Like,
Yeah, like
it's
Logan, our son, is a blessing to us and our family.
yes.
But I see it in him sometimes how frustrated he is because he can't explain what he wants, or he can't tell us this is what I want, this is why I'm upset.
Yes.
He has trouble regulating, so then he just has to outburst. I see it, and it's heartbreaking. I'm not saying he is a bad kid. I'm saying these things I see in him that's heartbreaking to know that he's going through, and then it almost feels like he's alone because he can't tell us.
He is alone, and we kind of feel a little helpless because it's like we're doing everything that we know to do. And I mean, I get on a detox thing, and I was giving him like metal detox stuff to see if that would help. I do feel like that did help a little bit, but it's like all of this stuff is very expensive because healthcare system doesn't provide that. And so it's like,
Yeah, it's hard to know. Like,
and hard to know. And it's like, I don't want to keep giving him a ton of
guessing.
stuff if I don't know what's working, what's not working. He's not a guinea pig. He's
Yeah,
my son.
see, he has just good weeks sometimes,
He does.
and sometimes he doesn't.
And so we just don't know, like, what it is. We're not sure what it is. And so that's where it's at. So, this thing, and I hearing both sides and people feeling both ways. Honestly, we're in a place where we're open-minded. We respect other families' decisions on how they feel, and their opinions. And this is just our opinion. We want answers. We want to know. I mean, because yeah, if there's a way to maybe support him even more by finding out what caused the harm, maybe there's a way to,
Ease the pain, or ease the issue, like,
yeah,
and move whatever is hurting him.
if it's a toxin, like, let's detox him. Like, it's an environmental like, because they're gonna look at mold, they're gonna look at all these different things. And
Yeah, air, water, dyes,
dyes.
anything, like everything they can think of. They're gonna issue grants to researchers, and have them do the science. Like,
And I think this is what's been needed. And the thing is, people tried to do research before, but they would
there's like this stigma of like, oh, there's nothing wrong.
It's nothing wrong. And
Well, then let's just prove it. Then, like, why is it increasing? Like, what is it?
yeah.
Is it just an evolution thing? Like, is it like the DNA? Like, just tell us what you find. That's it. I just want to know.
Yeah. So that's where we're at, and I think we feel very passionately about it, and we love our son, and we do think he is a blessing. And like,
He's so funny.
he's a funny kid. He does have a funny personality, and like when you get to know him, like,
Yeah, if he had words in his arsenal, I think he would just be a comedian.
yeah,
He would crack us up all the time because without words, he still cracks us up.
yeah. So, but also, we definitely want to know, and if this can be prevented for other families, that would be amazing, because raising children is very challenging, period. And then you add on a layer of,
It's an additional layer.
it's an additional layer. Autism is a different layer. It's a
So that you don't even know what it is. Is that just who he is? Then okay, tell me that, and then that's fine. Or is there something that's harming him, that's preventing him from being who he actually is? Like, I don't know. Like, whichever it is, just tell me. If they could figure that out, like, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Either way, if they figured out conclusively or pretty high probability and chance, then I would just love to know that.
Yeah. So I am grateful for RFK, kind of taking a stand. I know it's ruffling feathers, and, you may not agree with this, and that's totally fine. That's your opinion. But for us in our house, we want answers, and we want to know, and we're hopeful that maybe there's something, and that can help. I mean, now we're going to get an AAC device, and that's basically so Logan can communicate to us. So we're taking that step now. We're at the severity of what nonverbal. He needs a device now to communicate to us, and to other people who work with him, because of where he's at. So yeah, the non-speaking part has gotten to the point. Everyone kept saying, I'll add one last thing. Our doctor, Logan's doctor, was like, he's fine. He'll start talking at 3. Don't you worry about it. And he looks normal.
Late bloomer.
He's a late bloomer. And then I had people tell me, oh, I didn't start talking till I was 6. This is fine. You have nothing to worry about. And now I just want to go and slap those people, because it was like, me as a mom, I freaking knew. And I was like, I know there's something off. And the thing is, that's the thing, because Logan, he was fine until he wasn't. He had like a severe regression. And that's probably going to ruffle some feathers. People aren't going to like that. But I'm telling you, there's something that triggered this. He was hitting all his milestones until he wasn't. And it's really, really sad. So we're at the point where he's 6 going on 7, and he needs an AAC device to communicate. And we're just doing the best we can at this point. So we're just trying to take it one day at a time. So I'm excited to see what RFK Jr. comes out with, and what he's going to find out, and in the research that's going to come of this, and hopefully get some answers.
Yep, I'm excited.
Yeah. So I know that might ruffle some feathers, but here we are. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day.